Hello, everyone. My name is Promise Onu. You're welcome to today's topic, today's live. I want to speak on avoiding anarchy in Nigeria. Anarchy simply means an absence of government. And hi, Olu. So, what is anarchy? Anarchy means absence of government. When the people take, laws into their hands, just because of hi Benko, when people take laws into their hands just because the government are not doing what they're supposed to do, they're not able to control the people. And I watched Kenneth Okonkwo on Sheung Okimbaloye's podcast, the Mic On podcast. And I must say that was a very sound, intellectual, and very informative interview. And what he said on that interview, or one of the things he said, was that there is anarchy in Nigeria. And he gave reference of what is going on in the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria as it relates to security. And that highlights a very important point. And I think the government of Nigeria needs to take things like this very serious, because it's a looming danger if Nigerians should experience what people in Congo are experiencing, or people in some of the destabilized African countries are going through. When issues get out of hand like this, it is a very huge task for the government to step in. Anarchy is not something that any country wants to go through. And once the people are not in support of the government, that's one thing. But once the armed forces do not legitimize or see the government as legitimate anymore, in fact, if they have organization amongst themselves, they can carry out a coup. If they don't carry out a coup and they decide to split or form different groups of militias, it is even worse to have something like that, because that means anybody that has gun will take control and do whatever they like, which is what we are seeing in other African countries. And I've given an example of Congo. I've given an example of many other countries, Rwanda. Though the government there is doing better now, there's just so many places in Africa, especially those that have mineral resources that the West are interested in. And all these things are going on because most times the African leaders are just selfish. They just look at for their own pockets. And they keep going on to a point that it becomes clear and glaring that they don't care about the people. First of all, they lose the trust of the society. They lose the trust of the people. Then afterwards, what then happens is the police or the military will join in that movement. And because they have gone, the Western leader is not selfish. Relatively not as bad as what you have in Africa. And that's why you come into Africa, there is no accountability. There are things that don't happen in the West because there's level of accountability. I mean, oftentimes we hear, whether it's Argentina or Denmark or even China or some places, people resign, presidents resign, governors resign, prime ministers resign. The reason they resign is because they are accountable. How you take the judge the level of selfishness? How I take the judge the level of selfishness is by productivity. You know, we pass budgets of trillions of naira, trillions, but there is no impact on the economy. There is no impact on the people's lifestyle or livelihood. You don't feel it, you know, in the pulse of the people on the streets. You don't see the impact of those budgets. I mean, few governors do few roads here and there, but then they embezzle the rest. In fact, you see Nigerians' budget and money in other economies more than you feel it or you see it in Nigeria, because they are always buying houses abroad, investing in other people's economy, which is part of the problem. So places like Burkina Faso, for example, where there is coup and there is military regime, they are sending America away, they are sending France away, they are burning embassies of UK, and they are looking out for their people. They want to make sure the people are benefiting from mineral resources. And again, in as much as we think democracy is the way to go, if you look at democracy and look at Africa, and on average, a lot of African countries have had independence anything from 40 years or more, you will find out that Africa has not benefited from democracy, so to speak. Although it might work elsewhere, it might work in other climes, but in Africa it seems to be struggling. Now, what Kenneth was trying to say to Sheun, and I thank God that it was a YouTube podcast, or it was an independent podcast. It wasn't just, bros, the only reason the West is relatively peaceful is because Africa has problem. Because Africa has problem. It's a zero-sum game. Africa gets better, the West suffers. The world can be better for all sides. Yes, you have a point there, which is what the New African Initiative is trying to fix. Because a lot of us young persons from Africa who are in the diaspora, who have seen and understood what is going on, are now trying to speak up. And that's why you have handles like African Stream or Shakabaz trying to create awareness, trying to make Africans who are exposed to understand what is going on. Although we don't have, because it's a capitalist system, right? We don't have the money to sort of go back home and probably build a refinery or build a plant or start mining or whatever. So even our government in power sometimes look as if they are powerless. They have to work with this capitalist, and that's why they say foreign investors, foreign investors. Now your foreign investors are coming in. They want to tell you how you're going to run your country, and that's why they're imposing LGBTQ to you. And that's why you have the likes of Bobrisky and VDM and all their brouhaha going on the internet, because some of them are protected. Now they are forcing it down your throat because they are the ones giving you your money. You don't have that money. For example, Nigeria is going to borrow from South Africa, going to borrow from Qatar, just purely because we don't have money. Now, are all of you calling for the betterment of Africa ready for the fall of the West? Why not? The West can survive. What you don't understand is that America have a lot of oil. UK have oil in Scotland. There's so many places that can manage. Yes, they will be affected to have the largest because of Africa. A lot of things comes there, but it is time for, that's why everybody you listen to will tell you that Africa is the next big economy. They know this, right? But they have to destabilize Africa to be able to continue growing themselves. But then what we need to know as a people is that, first of all, it starts from leadership, right? It starts from leadership. Our forefathers have done what they need to do, which is education, yeah? Most of us have now studied. Now, we need to go to the next level. And that next level is coming together. You see what Kenya is doing with opening their borders up. You see what Ethiopia is doing. The painful part, what is paining me so much, what is paining me most, is that other smaller African countries that are not as big economy like Nigeria are waking up, but their big brother is not awake yet. We are still consumed with things that doesn't make sense. We are still trying to solve the basis. So we need to find a way to align our priorities with what is going on elsewhere in Africa so that we can meet them halfway and help save Africa from the loss of their resources to the West, and also the detriment of our own people as well. Now, because a lot of governments in Africa have been running for years and years, right? And that years of running also include corruption, also include nepotism. We have some African countries that have had the same presidents for years, right? And there is no development. They just keep looting money. Now, that anarchy is there, but then because they want to make sure that they are protected from the people, who can, of course, hunt them, they keep the police and the army sweet. Now, in some places like Burkina Faso, like Niger, and the other African country that have had coup in recent times, the military have stepped up. Now, that is even better than what is happening elsewhere, like in Congo, where you have different militias protecting different mining sites, right? So, I think what Kenneth was trying to make us aware or amplify in that interview with Sheung is to make us understand that in 9 months of Tinubu's government, right, things have gone so bad that we had close to 5,000 people kidnapped. As if that is not enough, we had 2 or 3 monarchs from the Yoruba land kidnapped. We've had many students kidnapped in the north. We had kidnappers demanding for 40 trillion or 3 billion naira ransoms. We've had series of insecurities, killing of military men in the south. So everywhere you're beginning to see anarchy. So he's saying that most of these kidnappers or those perpetrating those crimes or those who have the mind to kill our military men who are supposed to be protecting our lives and properties from external or existential threats is purely because there is anarchy. People don't believe in the government anymore. Even though there is a government, in quotes, what we see is that our government, we say one thing today, contradict themselves tomorrow. And that's why they will go ahead and say to Niger that we're sanctioning you, come back and say, but we're not sanctioning you again. But Niger is not giving up on themselves or what their stance are. They keep insulting Tinubu, they keep going ahead because people are undermining the power that Nigeria has. Because it is even I was on a live today with on African stream where they were mentioning issues in the whole of Africa, and they mentioned the Tinubu's case against P2B. So you see that in Africa, people know about what is happening in Nigeria. People are paying attention. People sort of know that this government is not legitimate to a particular level. And like Kenneth Okonkwo put it rightly as well, power is supposed to flow from the people to the executive or to the government. You don't just decide who is going to be president through the judiciary. It's supposed to flow from the people, and that's when you know that is democracy, because it's this power of government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So, and that speaks volume, because when you are the president of Nigeria or any country, you're supposed to be meeting the president of other countries as well, and then working holistically for the whole sub-region or the whole continent, which is also part of the world politics. So you're not just dealing with your internal affair of your country, you're also dealing with other external affairs. And right now, there is an awakening in Africa. People want to take charge of their mineral resources. People want to take charge of what is going on in their spheres. People want to make sure they are dealing with the right partners, and they're not dealing with people who claim to be partners, in quotes, but at the same time, they are milking their system and not giving so much back. What you see in most African countries is they sell their raw materials and still buy it back. So literally, they are giving their raw materials away, because they don't have refineries. They are giving their food away. So Africa is busy feeding the whole world, and at the same time cannot feed itself. So a country like Nigeria, with all the arable lands and the good weather, cannot even feed their people. Whereas we have billions of trillions of naira, being spent on budget yearly. So it's very indicative that every government official, Kenneth Okonkwo is somebody that is popular at the same time, somebody that speaks his truth, and I think that should go a long way to sort of sound a note of warning to people, especially those in politics and those in power. They're supposed to pay attention to what he said, and especially with what recently happened in Delta State, which is where the oil drilling is going on. We know that these are enemies of the state. Tompolo have always said it, that it is the powers that be that make all these, what do you call it, bunkery and all the rest. Yeah? So, that said, before military start destabilizing and the country breaks down into full anarchy, the government needs to fix up. And like I said in my last live, when it comes to security, which is the first most important thing that the government needs to give to the people, we have to be extremely careful that our forcemen don't take laws into their hands. Once you lose those people that have arms, that are bearing arms, that's it. Because if they decide to be stupid as well, like all our politicians and the judiciary and the legislature has been, and if they want to start being actually openly and overtly corrupt like the rest of the political class, what will happen is that they will probably start finding ways to go and run all those bunkery and, you know, mine our resources and mine gold in Zamfara and mine all the mineral resources all over the west and the south. So I believe that a word is enough for the wise. He's Kenneth is such an intelligent guy. It was a beauty to behold. Like, listening to him was so sweet this afternoon. And sometimes you need opposition to be able to tell you things you need to hear. Because one of the problems that people in leadership have is when people come and sing praises to them. And that's why Peter B said that when he was a banker or when he was the bank executive, if you don't tell him, if you're always, hi Peter, if you're always coming to tell him things, like if you don't criticize him, after one or two meetings, he wouldn't want you on his board. So constructive criticisms are welcome in government. That's why when he was asked, he said he prefers to be an opposition leader. Do you understand? So Kenneth Okonkwo has said it all, and I believe there's a lot of sense in what he said. The government need to sit up. If you say you are merging, ministries, go ahead and merge those ministries. If you say you are going to, prosecute anyone, prosecute them. If the government keep appearing weak, saying one thing about student loan, going back again and saying the other, legislation is appearing weak, you're just simply calling for anarchy. What will happen is, at some point, it will be very, very clear to everybody that the government have lost legitimacy. If people like Gumi can, I'm happy to hear that he was invited actually by the security services, because if people like Gumi can come up and say anything and get away with it, and then people can come and make empty threats and get away with it, that is anarchy. The government will keep looking powerless, and a lot of things are being run by perspective. In fact, I don't have to speak much. I think everybody should just go and watch that Kenneth's interview with Shehu on Mycon podcast. That was very, very informative. You listen to that and you begin to ask yourself questions. That's a very good analysis or breakdown of how the last 9 months have gone down, right? So people need to sit up. Those in power need to sit up. Understand that this is no more a joke, because the last, straw that will break the camel's back is if the armed forces revolt. And it will be better it's even a coup than it is individual militia breaking out from military or police or combined. It will be worse, because Nigeria have a lot of resources. And I don't think if anarchy befalls Nigeria that they can manage it. So if I am President Tinubu, I will make sure that nobody steals money going forward, right? I hear that there is still subsidy, even though they claim subsidy is gone. Naira might be appreciating, albeit slowly, but they need to work on that. You cannot. I don't think there is any how you could run a country by making people's life worse. You have to do something right. You have to get it right as a leader. You have to get it right. For you to be able to make impact on people's life, you just have to get it right. So I call on APC, I call on the president to take the words of Kenneth Okonkwo very seriously. I'm happy that he spoke to someone like Shehu, who obviously is also a voice in the politics of Nigeria. We need to take those things serious. All the ideas shared, all the advice given need to be taken on board, and that way, hopefully, we don't degenerate into a place where we have chaos. and we can still have a country. Because at the end of the day, given what is looming in Africa, there is power toggle, there is superpower toggle. America is seem not to be getting it right. China is rearing his head. China is projected to be preparing to be even twice the size of, or to be able to match America's military in 2027. So there's a lot of threats on world politics. A lot of African countries are standing up, and Nigeria needs to sit up, right? You know, Nigeria needs to sit up. If you are doing the Orosanya report, do it. There's a lot of back and forth with this government, trial and error with this government. This government needs to really put their feet on the ground and do some decisive actions that will help to move things forward. Nobody should be threatening the authority of the government. Nobody should be above government. And all of these things starts from the seat of power, from the president himself, his body language. You know, don't do stupid things like putting your children in front of other offices of government. There's protocol for everything. Those little things read a lot of meanings. People read a lot of meanings into it. And once you have people sabotaging your government from within, it is not going to look good for you, not just for your party, but also for the whole country. So I think being ill-advised at this particular point is going to be a great danger for Tinubu and his folks and his cabinet. So everything they are doing now, they have to be very calculative. In fact, like I said, Kenneth sounded so super intelligent, and it was sounding as if he was a consultant on that interview, right? He said, if you are running Nigeria, remember it's not Lagos. You are dealing with ethnicity, multi-cultural, multinational state. It's not, Nigeria is too diverse, too complex for you to handle. So you cannot just come and be a Lagos Jagaban kind of president. You have to remember you are running a whole country of 220 million or 250 million people. So I think a word is enough for the wise. I just felt like I should come and say my own piece to add to that. He's a very educated, sensible, intelligent young man, Kenneth Okonkwo, and I really appreciate what he's done. I call him young man, but he's an elder. But yeah, so it's good to listen to very intellectual, smart people. You see, Nigeria have a lot of intelligent people, just that most times we choose stupid people to listen to stupid people. You know, there are people that you need to, you become as strong as your cabinet. A leader becomes as strong as his advisor. You become, even as a person, you go as fast as your friends. You know, everything you do as a team. Who are those people you are listening to? So this goes to the government. There's no permanent seat for anybody. It's government. It's not a permanent seat. So if anybody is not doing well, remove them. Remove them. Honestly, I don't think the government understand that Nigeria is on a verge. I mean, when Peter Obi says Nigeria is failed, or when it's true. The only thing that is still keeping Nigeria together now is because the military is still obeying orders, or it's because the police is still listening to IGP. Once those set of people decide to take powers into their hands, you are gone. Nigeria is gone. And woe betide Tinubu that happens, right? So that's what Kenneth is saying. I remember when it was all in the north that you will hear that there's insurgency or there is insecurity. Now you hear it everywhere in Nigeria. But the president is not doing well himself. Yes, clearly. Like I said in my last live, I said, to deal with security is not just when you put boots on ground. You have to make sure that things like what just happened in the Senate don't come out in the open. When people know you are stealing money, and they know they are the ones taking the bullets, and they know you're not paying them well, that's heartbreaking. There are force men that don't have insurance. There are force men who are not able to feed. There are force men who don't have transport. Or some of our force military men, they don't have their own personal cars. And you are looting money. You are buying 160 million naira car for yourself. You know, you are living in Lajas. And you don't have to hide from bullets. You don't know what it means to take a bullet for your country. Once the military revolts in Nigeria, Nigeria is gone into full anarchy. And that's the absence of government. And there are places this is happening in Africa. Currently speaking. There are people who are getting it right. You've got the likes of Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda. Nigeria is supposed to be in the forefront of what South Africa is doing. Joining the brisk, fixing up the economy. And when Kenneth Okonkwo was asked about if P2P will do better. He said it. P2P will do excellently better. I don't know why people keep thinking in their mind that Tinubu and P2P is going to equate to the same thing. Nigeria is in a self-destruct mode. I believe you, Peter. I believe you. I just fear for what could happen. I mean, if you listen to the stories of what is happening elsewhere in Africa, you know you don't want Nigeria to go through that. I mean, we are going through wars now, but if it could get even worse and worse than what we have now. So please, I call on the government. It's not every time you loot when things are going well. You as a government, it's easy to steal. Say for example, you are doing business, you are a sales attendant. It's easy to sell when you are making a lot of sales in a day. It's easy to probably steal 1 or 2 notes. But when you've only made 1 sale in a day, you only sold to 1 customer. If you steal money, Oga will know. But if you have higher volume of sales, then it's easy for you to steal money and Oga will not know. So in a government where you are not delivering everything, you're not delivering anything, rather, you are stealing money. It becomes too obvious. And what happens is that your first men will revolt. They will say, Oga, look at what this legislature is doing. Imagine the Supreme Court judge saying he's taking home, is it 64 million? I'll be what? You're taking home 64 million? How much is policeman taking home? How much is military taking home? Ababio is taking home 20 billion every month. How much are those people that are doing the hard work on High Henry? How much are those ones taking home? We have to be careful. Be very, very careful as a government before our people will go to the street and lose it. I thankfully thank God that Naira is coming up against the dollar. They said petrol has come down from 640 to 630. I'm hoping things start going down and getting better. But even at that, we still have to be very careful. Even at that, we still have to be very careful. We need to avoid anarchy in Nigeria. And every sensible government will know when they are. You see, there is elasticity, and there is what they call, elasticity limit, right? Then also, once it goes past that limit, it goes to the breaking point. Nigeria is at the breaking point, and you just don't want it to break, because once it breaks, it becomes more difficult. And that's when the West will send their troops in, and they will say they are coming to do peace, and they will not keep no peace. And that is what has been happening in Congo, in different parts of Africa. That's why Goodluck said no to them when they offered to come in to help us with Boko Haram. Because once America steps foot in Nigeria, they won't go back. They will go at their own terms. They will build bases. That's why Goodluck said, no, we don't want you to come. Do you understand? So we have to be very careful. Keep our military sweet. Keep our policemen sweet. But at the same time, do the right thing. Don't allow news of corruption to be coming out in the open. Do the right thing. Some of the things I hear that government officials do is like, you are driving a big car. You are driving a big Prado Jeep or a big Range Rover as a rich man. Then you see a beggar. You park your car, come down, collect money from his small plate where people put money for the beggar. You collect money and you enter your car and drive off. You are stealing from the poor. You are stealing from poor Nigerians. You are taking money that is meant for public health. Then you're taking money that is meant for public development. You are taking money that is meant for public infrastructure. That is what our government is doing. None of them are poor. They are super rich, but they are still stealing public fund. Petty traders. People who don't have money to survive. You are taking the little that they have. Meanwhile, you are high up there. How does it feel if you are watching a big man on the street park his car and steal orange from a girl that is hawking orange, or steal mango from somebody that is selling mango on the street and go into their car without paying and drive off? That is what our government is doing. They are doing that. They know we're already down. They know that we're already broke. They know we can't afford feeding. They know because we're the poverty capital of the world. Nigerians, many of them are living under poverty, and yet you are stealing their money and you are calling it what do they call it again? What's all this rubbish English they speak? statutory projects, ways and means. All this rubbish you guys do in Abuja, these are money that are meant for people who are sick in the hospital that cannot afford to pay. These are monies that are supposed to be spent on people who are living under the bridge. These are money that are supposed to be spent on people who are living in the slums. These are money that are supposed to be spent on people who don't have food to eat. And our higher mighty people who know that till they die, they are good, they have enough money to eat, are stealing from the people. If we get to a point, those military men that are supposed to be in the bush fighting will revolt against you. We are seeing it in other African countries. They know where all the mineral resources are. They know where all the oil bunkers are. And once they revolt against the politicians will now hear way without their big stomach. They were going to Aso Rock because they are still blowing sirens. Now they are still settling some few policemen around them. They will carry them, protect their own family, protect their wives, and be stealing. You carry police and go and steal from a poor man. The day that police will turn out and say, Oga, you have car, you have food. Why are you stealing from this beggar? Why are you stealing from this poor woman? That is the day they will hear me. That is what you call anarchy. The government will go. Because the bridge between the people and the government is the force men, is the security men. They are the ones that are maintaining law and order, peace and order. And why there is still peace, relative peace to an extent now, apart from all the insecurity and insurgency and banditry, is purely because the police are still loyal to their oga. You know, the military men are still obeying orders. Once those people decide not to do anything, you will regret it. So please, Kenneth Okonkwo did say a lot. That was a perfect analysis. And I think I don't need to add to that. If you haven't watched it, go to MyCon podcast, watch Sheun and Kenneth Okonkwo's interview. It's very informative, very refreshing. Good criticisms, even criticize Labour Party. And I think Labour Party needs to sit up. Because at the end of the day, it's as if we have to change the law of Nigeria, I don't really buy into all this democracy nonsense, because the party will choose whoever they are bringing for us. So why not we choose who we want, even if we decide which party, or let the person bring out, I don't know, but we need to find something, a system of government that works for us. If we want P2B, let us vote for P2B, let P2B go in there and fix that country. At the end of the day, we the people want something, and we're not getting it from some individuals. The individual we know that can give us that thing that we want, that is still ready to work for us, they are obstructing it. And I think it's because of how politics work, because of all this party politics, which is everything is on money. They have to borrow money to run campaigns. Those are the things that are affecting us. So we need to deal with this main issue. How do we make our elections to be less expensive? How do we make our elections to be easier? If we are going to do electronic voting, let's do electronic voting. If we are going to do away with party, let individuals buy their forms. Maybe they are buying their forms from INEC, and then we vote who we want, and then they can join a party later. Let's do it that way. Or make every party ideological. What does this party stand for? Now we don't know what PDP stand for. We don't know what APC stand for. There's accusing Labour Party of not following constitution. Nobody is following constitution. Everything is just... There is even anarchy with the political class. Like I said, the only people who are still obeying orders are the first men in Nigeria. Once those first men don't listen to you, you are in trouble. And right now, society is not listening to you. There is high rate of kidnapping. There is high rate of banditry. There is high rate of killing and all this unknown government and all this nonsense. The only thing that we have remaining in law and order is our first men. We should make sure we don't lose them. Once we lose them, everything will just jabaru. And I pray it doesn't come to that. So please, please, and please, we are still hopeful. I mean, this March things are coming down. We are hopeful that once Port Harcourt come on stream, I don't know what they are saying, that he will not drag the money down and he will not bring down the prices of whatever. Of course, they want to make profit. After all, NNPC is not a limited company. But at the end of the day, government needs to step in. You have to make life of the people better. If you don't make the life of the people better, they don't care whether you have good intentions or good motive. They will see you as enemy. They will see you as enemy. And it gets to a point, it becomes survival of the fittest. And once it becomes survival of the fittest, nobody cares who you are. I just pray that this common knowledge, that they can understand it. Those in power can understand it. You can't have everything and keep stealing from the poor. One day the poor will revolt. And in that poor, there are still some people who are bearing arms. I mean, we found a little snippet here and there. We've seen what has happened. It's been happening in the north. We've seen what has happened in South. Places that you believe Yar'Adua has done a good job with all the amnesty. You see what has been happening. Southeast is already gone in flames. You see what is happening in the Southwest creeping in. We have to be very careful. We have to be very careful before we lose it in Nigeria. When other African countries are doing things right, trying to get it right, trying to deal with the whole Western influence, trying to make sure that they keep their resources within their country. Nigeria is still being thrown left and center. Imagine our federal government don't have a say on anything. 1 minute they go this way, the next minute they go this way. You don't know where they stand. Tomorrow we are doing student loan. We are not doing student loan. Come out and we are doing other side reports. We're not doing other side reports. They come out and we are doing state police. We're not doing state police. And you just don't know who is running the country. Everybody is just going on, everybody going on silos. The government needs to fix up. It's supposed to be a cohesive force. It's supposed to be a working together. I've said it, the two ministries that are doing well, the ministry that is of internal affairs that is producing passports. But even Peter Obojola have said it's not only passport they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be doing prisons as well. They're supposed to be doing all that stuff, which is true. But at least let's commend them the little they are doing. And also I've said aviation is trying with helping APs to secure the contract to be coming to London. Now what we need to make sure, the main bone of contention is that Port Harcourt refinery coming on stream. Make sure they don't push it back again. Then make sure that afterwards, Warri come on stream. And then make sure that Kaduna comes on stream. I see that there are proposals for Imo State and Enugu State to build power plants. Get these projects going. Stealing money. Nigeria is a underdeveloped country. Development needs capital. It needs money. You need to invest a lot into the system. And then you can reap later. My own is to talk. Those in power to implement. Thank God for people like Kenneth Okonkwo. That's the best. Like he said to Sheung, this is the best you can do for the country. They say, come and help, come and help. P2B advice. P2B has been advising. Are they listening? The government seems to not understand what they are doing. They are accusing themselves. APC is accusing Buhari, which is APC. Get over it. Do something. How bad have Abia State been? How many years? 20-something years. In 9 months, look at the difference of what Alesoti have done to Aba. It's not rocket science to fix Nigeria. It's not. Thank you so much. I like to keep my videos short these days. I think the point is already clear. I don't have access to my Facebook still. I don't know what's going on. But please follow me on YouTube, subscribe, help the channel, comment, share, like. And hopefully we get to see a better country. Otherwise, like everybody else, I'm tired. I don't know. I believe these guys are listening, but maybe conflicting advice or opinions are probably... I've said it. Release Nnamdi Kanu. Why is Nnamdi Kanu... Nnamdi Kanu being held is equals to 5 Igbo states not doing business on Monday. It's hampering the economy. Banks are shut down. You need those volume of transactions to be back into the economy, to drag the naira up. What do I know? I believe it's down to them to listen. Kenneth Okonkwo spoke on rehabilitation, reconstruction, and what's the other one? They should do these things. If you're allowing Boko Haram to come back in the army, why can't you not, dialogue with these people, find a resolution, and also... If P2B had won and became the president, most of these things could have gone down. Because even IPOB people were warning most of us that were shouting for P2B. And they warned us that it won't work. And it turned out to be true. They were right. The hatred for Igbos are too many. It's too much. It's just too much. We need to see ourselves as one country, as brothers. We need to look at ourselves as, we've existed many years. Nigeria did not start in 1960. Nigeria did not start in 1914. Nigeria have been existing for many, many, many years before the strangers came. Let's return back to how we used to be. Let's return back to peace. Let's see ourselves eye to eye. Other African countries are doing this. Nigeria is supposed to be in the forefront championing this. Let's not keep listening to people that colonized us and turned our forefathers to slaves and did all this harm to us and still ripping us apart today. Taking our raw materials and selling it back to us, when they could have helped us to build refineries or build their machines here to help us to fix it. I hope somebody is listening. Sometimes I believe there might be a different reason why our politicians are not able to do these things. But I keep saying, if other presidents of other countries can do what they are doing, if Alex Otti can do what he's doing in Abia State, then I believe it's just the will to do these things that is lacking. Thank you so much. Put Nigeria in prayers. Because if we wake up one morning and see that the whole Nigeria is turning to anarchy, what are we going to do? Right? So, I pray that God helps Nigeria. I pray that our leaders can see reasons and understand that you can't keep stealing from the poor. Thank you so much and have a good night. Bye-bye.